you remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about my official stance on them keeping me from a suitable helper, on them doing occult witchcraft, sorcery, whatever you want to call it, magic tricks, psychology, chemistry, chaos magic, stuff like that, ruining everybody and making it so that people shouldn't reproduce no matter what, while they pretend they're being blessed or something from their, occult process and what have you. Okay, so first of all, God separated the light from the darkness. And those who are honest, those who really serve God, those who really have worth, they do God's work and they do it plainly. They don't do it behind the scenes. And I utterly despise people who scramble to try to make people seem gayish against their will, who fume and poison them against their will, who violate all their rights for stupid chaos magic, for stupid governing class agendas. I mean, it is very, very sick. It's my official stance. It will never change. There's a reason why it says that the sorcerers are outside the gates in Revelation. God does not exist in a state of duality. By that I mean evil and good at the same time. God is all good, all knowing, and all powerful. Again, all good, purely good, all knowing and all powerful. Now, how do we know this? We know this partially from martial arts. This is why occultists tend to be kind of beta-looking people, generally speaking. The vast majority of them are kind of fat, out-of-shape guys, kind of weird-shaped guys like Freemasons, frat-faced people, beta, kind of weird, weird shapes to them. A lot of people associate occultism with Jews. And no offense to Jews, Jews tend to be out of shape, and a lot of them have an inferiority complex as a result. They're among the people who impressed upon society that in order for them to have equality, that they think that they should sabotage people who look better. Thus, the wordplay in the phrase, get better. And I'm not saying this to insult the Jews. I'm just calling it how I see it. Okay? I hope they scramble to do the right thing. What they're doing is not smart. Okay? If you were born with some kind of birthmark or something, should you give up on life because it's an eyesore? No. Neither should you sabotage those people who are naturally more attractive than you because you don't like your looks. And you shouldn't also control breeding so that your offspring don't have the same complex that you have. Rather than destroy the world, they should have just not had any kids. Open and shut. But they chose to massacre millions and millions of people every year these days and to drastically control reproduction and to hack people's brains, what have you. And I'm 100% sure that they're hacking people's brains on a large scale. The evidence is overwhelming. It is preposterous. It is absurd. It is inconceivably stupid for people to argue that someone who makes that claim is magically mentally ill. That is unbelievably stupid. The evidence is extremely overwhelming. The way people have changed, the evidence for gang stalking, the disinformation agents that fit the pattern of cover-up we see coming from the government. They love putting the disinformation agents out there so some immature people can speak to the masses of people and say things like, you sound like one of those crazy people on YouTube or something. When I said that MKUltra is called Ram Scramble, and the Baphomet is a goat which is similar to a ram, okay, you could see that they had no viable counterargument. What are they going to argue, that MKUltra isn't called Ram Scrambled? And Mortal Kombat doesn't start with MK? That there's not strong connections between masonry and their shape and the shape of Street Fighter guys, Ryu, Ken, Mortal Kombat guys? What can they say? That the builders are not concerned with bodybuilding? That people who are fanatically concerned with social interactions aren't concerned with who looks better than who? People who spend tons of money on fancy cars and jewelry? What could they say? They are fanatic people who have done petty things throughout history. And it says in the Hercules series, on the old Hercules TV show with Kevin Sorbo, it said the Greek gods are petty and cruel, coming from Hollywood. Hollywood is obsessed with Greek mythology, just like the Freemasons. And it described their deities, their core spirits, their dominating characteristics as petty and cruel. And the word Greek is like the word greed and like the word geek. Who would argue that those things are just a coincidence and it doesn't show you and reinforce and overkill what you know already? So I am utterly opposed to these people sabotaging me to try to make magicians seem like they know best about life and God and the spirit realm, when it was monotheistic martial artists who were not magicians. I am not a magician. I'm not an occultist. I'm not a sorcerer. Those things are pathetic. Juju means plaything, not just West African witchcraft, but plaything. Jupiter and Juno are like children who never grew up. Their conception of love, Eros, Cupid, depicted as children, as fucking children. What can they say? Frats act like children, making stupid, silly frat faces. They have some kind of shared genes, and their genes make them look a little odd, and they make funny frat faces, which they often call fuck faces and set faces, because the word shit for shit face, like shit face drunk, is a play on words for set, waist, way set, open and shut. And when you see with the word whites, again, I'm not racist, I'm part white, but my dominant genes are black, basically, right, where it matters most. But the word whites is a play on words for why set. Now there's two ways to interpret this. One is them saying, why do they have to be dominated by Set first and foremost, and then Set kind of conquered the world through Europe. If you want to call it conquering the world, I mean, they lack self-control. They don't have the power to be men in the first, but it's a story for another day. Anyway, the other way to interpret it is they're saying, why are they doing what they do? Because of Set, right? Why the settlers? Why the setting the stage? Why the neocolonialism? Why the massacre? Why the Native American genocide, the slavery? Why, all the rapes that occurred in slavery, including homosexual rapes? Because of Set, who's known as a deity that worships evil, the principles of evil, who has strange sex habits, what have you. The color red, right? When white people get in the desert, a deity of desert, their skin turns red, as the story goes. Now again, I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm trying to help you understand my official stance. I'm not concerned with petty racial issues unless they touch on the divine. Okay? And then they're no longer petty, are they? So I'm not concerned with racial issues, rather, unless they touch on the divine in order to get things straight. I'm not a racial supremacist. I'm a moral supremacist. And that's part of my official stance here as well. So, to make a long story short, I despise everybody and anyone who had anything to do with causing attractive females to shun me. Except for my parents, they're blameless. Something to be said about my brothers, that's it. There's no excuse for that. I, Christ and the bridegroom, they had no right to do that. They thought if they make it so I look less attractive, they keep me from doing martial arts, then I would magically ride the goat, right? The checkered floor of Freemasonry, right? The floor of duality. And the Baphomet also stands for masonry. That's riding the goat. That's riding the spirit of mixing quote-unquote good and evil, which can't be done. So it's really Luciferian fake good and evil that they mix. Riding the goat. The Baphomet. The duality. The checkered floor. The mosaic. Looks like a chessboard, or checkers board, right? The game, right? The game is mage scrambled. And it starts with gay, and the second word me. The duality also is male and female, so they're kind of gender-neutral Baphomet. Hermaphroditus, Hermes and Aphrodite combined, where you get the word hermaphroditus, and Aphrodite, a deity of love. In the Western Masonic construct, in the Babylon construct that's taken over the world, it is gender neutral, LGBT, kind of Roman orgy, trying to make sure that everyone has sex in that gender neutral duality spirit. And it is fucking sick. That's why they're watching you these days. Okay, they have technology that go beyond your phone or your TV or something. People have all kinds of theories of how they watch you, but they are watching people in various ways in their homes. One possibility, I'm not sure about this possibility, but I know they're watching somehow, is that the nanoparticles come together to make some kind of lens, okay? and they hack the brain and they interpret the brain issues. That's one possible. The other one is they hack the brain and they interpret the brain images, and it presents an image on their screen. So they're looking at how your brain is interpreting what your eye is seeing, okay, and they're putting it on the screen. So they're watching people in the shower when they, look in the mirror, maybe when they look at themselves, depending on how they take a shower, how they change. It has something to do with this. I recommend people changing in the dark, covering up themselves more than they otherwise would when they change, making it difficult. Assume that they can see what you see, and assume that they have some kind of mechanism to watch you in your home as well. Okay, it's just being practical. There's a difference between being practical and being paranoid. When you look at what's going on and the technologies that are going on and how they're watching people, how their religion includes voyeurism, which is watching people have sex, okay, it's stupid to not understand that you have to take precautions. I would be shocked if they didn't have an advanced way to watch people in their homes these days. They probably use the war on terror and stupid things like that as an excuse, but everyone sees through that these days, and they know that they're concerned with sexual control, with sexually harassing people, with using rape by deception, using, playing the game of Ludus, which is supposedly a Greek game where you kind of make, winning over your mate a game. And of course, the game goes back to the mage and the gay, and the second word is me, but I'm not gay. That's the word playing the word game. An image, I game, I mage, what have you. So it's clear that these sick, weird, frat, panty raid, geek, punk ass bitches have ruined love for everyone. Part of it is they're psychopaths, they're Satanists. They see themselves as magicians and warlocks and wizards and all kinds of stupid stuff like that. Think about a math wizard, right? Why is it called a math wizard? Because the whole system is made after kind of occult witchcraft garbage. Okay. And chaos magic is a huge part of it these days. And Set is a deity of chaos, as is Zeus, who's the central deity of Western culture. They even depicted God in Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel as resembling Zeus. And Jupiter and Juno, the two Jews, juju witchcraft. Thus connecting whites and white Jews together. And they're kind of, the breeding cults of that time. So this video is not supposed to be this long. It's supposed to be about my official stance on them keeping me from attractive female. I 100% reject them and their ways and paths. I 100% despise them for trying to make me gay, for keeping me from true love, for keeping me from martial arts and trying to use that to try to get me to be some kind of magician, even a second-rate magician. I hate magic. I'd never do it that way. It's against my religion. God's ways are not the ways of magic. Magic is fucking stupid. Look, Crowley's a bitch. Houdini a bitch. I mean, who doesn't know these things? You know, some Mickey Mouse, Gandalf the Grey, Harry Potter bitch shit, and they think that I should fucking appreciate their bitch?